On her 82nd birthday, Jane Fonda was arrested. Approaching the Capitol steps, Fonda was grabbed by the police and put into handcuffs. But Jane Fonda wasn't alone. She and 138 other people were arrested that day, and they were all there for a reason: the US government's dismal response to the climate crisis. But this kind of celebrity direct action is rare, especially among the Hollywood elite who are advocating for climate action as their new pet cause.
Pollution is a threat right now.
And we have to understand our environmental impact on this earth and really make a difference.
And because of this, it's more important than ever to dive into the celebritization of the climate crisis. Today, we're going to figure out whether celebrity advocacy is actually working, as well as determine who is actually doing the work to build the movements we need to effectively foster a just transition. This video was made possible by the people who support me on Patreon. Get early access to all my videos by becoming an OCC Patreon supporter. Before we dive into the specifics of celebrity climate action culture, we need to first understand if their advocacy is even effective. The answer is complicated. Indeed, as one paper puts it, celebrities like Al Gore and Leonardo DiCaprio have become the new polar bears, assuming the imagery of the new harbingers of climate change. But the ramifications of celebrity influence on various environmental issues can differ wildly. With their widely watched personas comes some amount of power, as well as the filtering of political ideas and theories of change through that persona. Essentially, celebrities have become nodes through which many people learn about climate issues, or perhaps are even inspired to take action. So the result of this celebrity influence is very much dependent on the celebrity's politics. Some figureheads, like Prince Philip and David Attenborough, champion false ideas of overpopulation and propose neoliberal and eugenicist solutions.
That this fundamental source of all our problems is population.
What do you see as the biggest challenges in conservation?
The growing human population.
While others, like Jane Fonda, push for movement-based direct action to end fossil fuel extraction.
And encourage people to engage in civil disobedience and to mobilize.
The spectrum of celebrity solutions to the climate crisis is almost as broad as the number of climate celebrities. But the way celebrities relate to movements, usually as figureheads rather than as comrades, perpetuates a heroic individual narrative that runs counter to anti-hierarchical grassroots movement philosophies. With every cry for climate action from a celebrity comes an equal cry of hypocrisy.
And yet DiCaprio flew a private jet 4,000 miles from Cannes, France to New York to accept a climate award and then flew back.
This is due in part because of the nature of celebrity and our desire for heroic leaders. It positions celebrities as individuals, which means it's easy to delegitimize climate advocacy by attacking the personal actions of celebrities. After all, cries of hypocrisy are extremely effective tools for dismantling movements, especially those focused on the climate crisis. Because if you somehow have to already have shed all of your fossil fuel use in order to start the work of shedding fossil fuels, then very few people will ever take action. But here's the thing. While being mindful of how we use resources, and for those of us in wealthy countries or who have personal wealth, reducing our resources is important, it should never be a prerequisite to dismantling the systems of capitalism and environmental destruction. In fact, BP invented the carbon footprint so people would think their own lifestyles were to blame and not the exploitative capitalist actions of the 100 companies that emit 71% of the world's greenhouse gases. Paying attention to our own or a celebrity's carbon footprints will never solve climate change as long as fossil fuel companies continue to build pipelines and pump oil and gas out of the ground. As journalist David Roberts puts it, Leonardo DiCaprio's carbon footprint is a fart in the wind compared to major corporations and fossil fuel companies. That being said, Hollywood elites are still elites. hopping around on private jets, partying on yachts, and lounging in lavish mansions is unethical in a world where whole nations are getting swallowed up by sea level rise. It's hard to take celebrities like Leonardo DiCaprio or Al Gore seriously when they seem so disconnected from the masses. A world without climate change and inequality means a world without yachts or private jets. So, much like Kim Kardashian driving fashion trends, celebrities have the power to drive climate action trends, and their personal actions can signal possible avenues of change. So, let's look at both Leonardo DiCaprio and Jane Fonda in order to understand two very different celebrity approaches to climate action. After leaning over the bow of the Titanic, declaring himself the king of the world, Leonardo DiCaprio decided to do something about that world. So, like most rich people, he started a donor-advised fund, and he called it the Leonardo DiCaprio Foundation. Since 1998, DiCaprio's foundation has handed out $100 million in grants to over 200 projects. But if you've watched my video on billionaires, you'll know this isn't the whole story. While $100 million is great for the cause, DiCaprio is often reaping the benefits of his foundation both in terms of tax dodging and reputation. The watchdog group Charity Watch decried the lack of transparency of his fund, writing that the Leonardo DiCaprio Foundation uses its donor-advised fund status to avoid the financial and other transparency requirements that must be met by standalone charities. That being said, DiCaprio has made a number of speeches and produced films calling attention to the climate crisis. But like many of his elite friends, his framing of the crisis and the solutions he proposed often veer on the side of quick techno fixes and ignore systemic drivers of climate change, like capitalism. In short, DiCaprio certainly isn't doing terribly compared to the actions of other celebrities. But it's not possible for the multi-million-dollar galas he throws and flying around on private jets to address the root causes of climate change. If anything, they highlight the importance of finding another way to wield celebrity and fame to build movements and action, which is where Jane Fonda comes in. In the fall of 2019, Jane Fonda decided to turn her climate despair into action. She set up base in a Washington, D.C. hotel room near the White House, and for 4 months, she held weekly climate rallies on the doorstep of the U.S. government, often ending in arrests. Unlike big-ticket galas or UN speeches, Fonda was wielding her fame and privilege to build a movement. Using the shocking headlines of her multiple arrests, as well as enticing her celebrity friends like Sally Fields and Lily Tomlin, Fonda grounded climate action in direct action. Simultaneously, Fonda seems to be trying to take a back seat, offering her podium to indigenous activists and activists of color.
We can build the world we want, and we can demand this one changes at the same time.
In essence, Fonda knows that where she goes, headlines will follow. So she seems to be using that spotlight to illuminate the real work of those at the front lines of the climate struggle, like her recent appearance at the Line 3 protests. As much good work as Jane Fonda does, at the end of the day, no one person will save us from climate catastrophe. We all need to lower our expectations about the impacts that celebrities can have on movements. At best, they can actually be part of a movement, like anyone else, and use their celebrity to raise funds for democratic distribution, create media to shift mainstream narratives about injustice, or get attention on specific campaigns. At worst, however, they can use shady fundraising methods for tax breaks and good PR. The true hero is not just one person. The heroes of climate action are movements across the world blocking fossil fuel infrastructure, divesting from capitalist exploitation, and building communities based in abundance. The water protectors and the hundreds of people blocking the destructive progress of Enbridge's Line 3 pipeline right now are the ones we should be paying attention to. These are people who, for over 500 years, have fought the systems of exploitation that now fuels the climate crisis. The Hollywood elite can certainly do their part by supporting and lifting up these movements, but the capitalist imperialist system that underpins our climate crisis will never fall at the hands of the famous. They're famous because of that system. In order for celebrity advocacy to actually work, they need to get their hands dirty, listen to those who have known the land for thousands of years, and struggle directly for a world where land, air, and life are deeply treasured. Unfortunately, videos like these, while very important, do terribly with the YouTube algorithm, and sponsors don't want to touch them. But there is a way you can help. Becoming an OCC Patreon supporter helps Our Changing Climate stay afloat and independent. As an OCC patron, you'll not only gain early access to videos, but also special behind-the-scenes updates and a members-only Discord channel. In addition, each month, my supporters vote on an environmental group that I then donate a portion of my monthly revenue to. Patreon supporters are the financial backbone of the Our Changing Climate operation. Without them, I wouldn't be able to take creative risks and dive into difficult topics. So if you want to help keep this channel alive or are feeling generous, head over to patreon.com/ourchangingclimate or use the link in the description and become an OCC patron. If you're not interested or aren't financially able to, then no worries. You can help the channel out by subscribing, liking the video, and commenting. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I will see you in 2 weeks.